Lingering rain and clouds on this WRAL weather alert day, where it will come down the heaviest, plus when we get to see temperatures in the 90s and sun again.
Mom, help. It's the last text message a Fuquay Varina 18-year-old sent his mother before he went missing in Florida. The details behind his suspicious and concerning disappearance.
Then, abrupt firing. The North Carolina Courage soccer team's head coach fired in the middle of the season. Who's filling in and the reasons for the decision. Welcome. Great to have you with us here on WRAL News at 7 o'clock. Are you sick of the rain yet? Yeah, me too. It feels like it's been raining for like 3 straight days. Kind of has, actually. The showers are sticking around tonight, too. You can see those pockets of rain here on the radar, just that mist that has been hanging out in Wake, Durham, and Orange counties. Let's go to Kat Campbell. We've seen so much rain this week. Carrie, I'm not really surprised by the amount of rain, but 9 inches in the last 48 hours is pretty amazing.
Some pretty remarkable totals coming out of the Triangle just within the past 48 hours. And we still have more rain falling, but the rain is lightening up, and we are going to see improvements as we near sunset across Wake County. Chatham County, Orange County may take a little bit longer to dry out here as this activity is moving from east to west. Still some light rain at the airport, which had more than half an inch of rain today. It was light, but it added up over time. And we've got rain coming down around North Raleigh. About a 20% chance for rain as we head into the later night hours after sunset. Temperatures holding steady at 70 degrees at the moment. Check out the rainfall totals. 9.18 inches in Cary, 7.2 in Apex, 4.5 in Raleigh, the average about 3.5 in Durham, and over 4 inches in Zebulon as well. It has been the wettest start to the month of August on record at RDU. I mean, just look at these numbers already. We started the month with nearly an inch of rain. Yesterday, we had 3.59 inches, and again today over half an inch, and that puts us more than 3.5 inches above normal. We're also dealing with some much cooler than normal temperatures. I'll let you know when that will change coming up.
You soon. Thank you, Kat. And you can track the radar with the newly redesigned WRAL weather app. Turn on those push notifications and alerts. Get important alerts based on your location sent right to your phone. The app is free.
All new at 7 o'clock from the WRAL Live Center, a former Johnston County deputy and his wife, who is a former Johnston County teacher, pleaded guilty to several charges today. We've been covering this story since 2023 when Michael Medlin and Amy Medlin were charged, all in connection with events that occurred back in 2016 involving one of Mrs. Medlin's students at Corinth Holders High School. Michael Medlin was an SRO at the school at the time of all of that. Today, he pleaded guilty to charges including simple assault and providing alcohol to a minor. Amy Medlin pleaded guilty to indecent liberties with a student. She has to register as a sex offender now. Both were sentenced to probation.
Thank you, Brian. A plea for help missed in the middle of the night. This teenage boy here from Fuquay Varina vanished while on vacation in Florida, and now his family is desperately searching for him. WRAL Sean Gallagher shares the family's quest to find him and gets their questions answered.
They're the last 2 words any mother would like to hear. And for the Pelletier family in Fuquay Varina, they're the last 2 words they've heard in nearly a week. Mom, help. An urgent plea Gio Pelletier's mom and other family missed as they were asleep.
What was he feeling in that moment? And that's why we're just so terrified, and we want to find him. We want him home.
A simple ask repeated time and time again by Gio's Aunt Desiree.
We just want him home. That's the end goal here.
If that's the end goal, let's take it to the start. Last Friday, while in Florida on vacation, Gio Pelletier went to hang out with some of his cousins from his estranged father's side of the family. It was very early in the morning, about 1:30 a.m. His Aunt Desiree says they had just arrived after a long road trip from North Carolina.
It was a later time. And somewhere along the drive between, 20 to 25 minutes, the text came out to my sister.
Gio's cousins told the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office he was acting erratically before exiting the vehicle and walking away. But the family questions their account, saying one gave a fake name to law enforcement, and they changed their story about what happened. But especially because Gio left a bag and his phone behind on the side of the road, with the lasting image of that final text message.
Him saying help is not, that's not normal. No one can convince our family differently, and especially my sister, that something is wrong, something happened.
The family continues daily searches in Florida near the location where he was last seen, and they're offering a $10,000 reward to anyone who can provide any information that will help bring Gio home. In Fuquay Varina, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Thank you, Sean. Let's get you caught up now on some of today's other big headlines. These are the 5 things you should know right now. Today, people left flowers at the site in Nash County where floodwaters swept away and killed 2 people. We're told they're coming from a medical appointment when they tried to cross the flooded road. Their van was swept into a ravine. An officer jumped in the water trying to help, but he could not save them. A frustrating development in Apex. We're learning that the road damaged by flooding yesterday won't be fixed until November and will cost at least $2 million. Olive Chapel Road collapsed during heavy rain and flooding. The DOT said a drain pipe failed. And this is a busy road that connects several parts of town. It will certainly be inconvenient to have it closed for the next 3 to 4 months. Blood stain in the bathroom. WRAL obtained newly filed court documents in the case of Faith Hedgepeth. It cites a blood stain found on a door frame in the form of a partial palm print or fingerprint that was never tested. The motion comes from the attorneys of Miguel Enrique Salguero Oliveras, the man charged with her murder. This has been a high-profile case since the UNC Chapel Hill student was found dead in her apartment by a friend in 2012. Police didn't make an arrest until 2021, nearly a decade later. You can read all the details on WRAL.com. PowerSchool will soon delete all of its data on North Carolina students and most of the data on teachers. The system was hacked late last year, exposing millions of people's data. North Carolina was already in the process of shifting to a different system called Infinite Campus. UNC Chapel Hill is ramping up that game day experience ahead of the first game by Coach Bill Belichick. Today, the university sharing this video announcing Chapel Thrill Game Day for every home game this season. The pregame celebrations will include concerts and food trucks and games for the family. There'll be a tailgating area and more. There are multiple factors that go into such a decision. That is our quote of the day from the North Carolina Courage chief soccer officer, and it's a quote that he used again and again and again and again during a news conference today. You see, the Courage, they just fired their head coach, Sean Nahas. This move kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, Nahas has been the coach there since 2021. He made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. The team, admittedly, has been having a bit of a down year, but they've been improving. They're still in the playoff hunt right now. So why did he get fired? That was the question that came up over and over again during today's news conference, and the team kept giving that same answer.
There's multiple factors that go into such a decision. The decision was made with multiple factors in mind. As I've said, there's a multitude of factors that go into such a decision. In situations like this, there's always a multitude of factors that are considered, and a multitude of factors were considered in this situation. But as I've said, there's a multitude of factors that have to be considered.
Multitude of factors, multiple factors, over and over again. What does that mean, though? What does that mean exactly? So we asked multiple times, a multitude of times, you could say. We never got really a straight answer, but getting a straight answer in this case is rather important, especially considering how Nahas got his job in the first place. He replaced the last coach, Paul Riley, after he was fired for sexual misconduct, which then led to a lawsuit. Earlier this year, the National Women's Soccer League reached a $5 million settlement over this. And look, I want to be very, very crystal, super duper clear here. Nahas has not been accused of anything. Pat Welter talked about this earlier in some of his coverage, was telling us that the players liked him, that he has been around for a while, worked his way up from Raleigh Youth Academy. He's well known when it comes to soccer in his community. And coaches do get fired all of the time in every sport. It comes with the territory. And there are a multitude of factors that go into those decisions. But when you consider the recent history of this league and of this team, you can understand why fans and the media might want just a little bit more transparency. As public broadcasters across the country are forced to cut their budgets, we hear from David Crabtree, a former WRAL anchor, of course, and the man in charge of PBS North Carolina. Tonight, we're getting a better understanding of what it means to cut funding from public broadcasting. So WRAL, as you probably know, is a privately run station, but a certain anchor who worked here for decades is now working in the public space. Now, by now, you've also seen the headlines. Corporation for Public Broadcasting says it will shut down after Congress cut money. That bill cut $9 billion in total funding, including $1 billion for the CPB. Now, we should say the CPB doesn't actually create anything. They are the arm that provides the federal funding to things like PBS and NPR. And those organizations have stations all over the country. About 1% of NPR's funding came from the feds. It's much bigger, though, for PBS, about 15%. That money funds the national programming, things like Frontline, PBS NewsHour, Antique Roadshow, Arthur, and the Wildcrats. My kids love the Wildcrats. That money also funds local programming like NC Weekend, North Carolina Now, and the Black Issues Forum. There are some legitimate criticisms for these funding cuts. Many of these programs are educational or they're for kids, and there are no commercials. There are also some legitimate criticisms for public media, like salaries and its place in today's enormous media landscape. We took those ideas to David Crabtree, the former WRAL anchor, now CEO of PBS North Carolina, as he spoke to our Ashley Rowe.
David, I appreciate you spending time with us here. I know it's been a very busy couple of days for you.
It has been, but it's always good to, it's just good to be in the presence of the place that was my home for almost 30 years.
Absolutely. Hey, what has the response been from employees since the news went out about the voluntary separation offers? Obviously, the more people that do that, the fewer layoffs down the line.
The response so far has been pretty quiet. I know folks are talking a lot amongst themselves. That's what I want them to do. Every decision that is made with each individual employee is up to them, and I want to make sure that they make the best choice for themselves and their families.
I know you know that one of the things that the critics of public media will bring up is salaries, that people who work in public broadcasting make more money than those in the private sector. These salaries are public record. In some cases, those salaries are higher than what we see in the private market. Do you think that that's a fair point from critics, or do you think that salaries at public institutions like PBS have responded to market forces?
I would like to see that list, quite frankly. Wow. My colleagues, for the most part, and my peers throughout the PBS ecosystem are paid, in many cases, substantially less than what that peer group would be making in commercial media. I know at PBS North Carolina, we do our best to be up to market and to compete, but it's really difficult in public media. Again, I'm not denying that information exists, but I would really like to talk with those critics and say, come in, take a look at our books. Every salary we have is open to the public.
This doesn't just impact employees. This also will impact PBS programming. Can you give us a sense of what this means for PBS programming?
Thanks for asking that, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about that now. It will present a serious challenge to programming, but we remain steadfast in the mission of producing so many quality shows at PBS North Carolina. When people say, well, your programming is going to be impacted, that is true, but the context is not by a very large margin.
What is it that public broadcasting does, and the public content that you were just talking about, that private media can't do?
In commercial, you have to play to your audience. Believe me, I spent 40 years doing that. I understand that. So with emergency work and informing the public, that's one, I like to call it one engine of a twin engine plane. And the second is education. When we create educational programming for children and offer it every day without commercial interruption, that is something that could be done on the commercial side, but it wouldn't fit your business model. So I understand why it's not done, but we stand in the gap that no one else really wants to stand in. Is it a large audience? No, it is a niche audience, but it is a dedicated audience, particularly around children's programming, and that is at the heart of what we do.
Thank you so much.
Ashley, thank you, and my best to everyone there. And we really appreciate the time for this to be explained. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Good to see David Crabtree and to hear from him, even on such an important topic. They're lucky to have him there at the helm.
Oh, yeah. This is not David Crabtree weather. We would always joke the 7-day forecast, we get to those warm, sunny days, and sorry, David, not your type of weather here that we are looking at. It's quite the opposite. Dreary, but Mike Mace just stepped outside. He was able to do it sans an umbrella, so I guess a little improvement there as these showers continue to push off to the west. The rain drops still on the lands at the state legislative building, but it's 70 degrees, just that drizzly, kind of misty feel out. Dew point is in the upper 60s, so it's humid as well. Just some light spotty rain in North Hills. We do have some steady rain just west of Jordan Lake. That's going to be pushing toward the Triad. All of this activity is very slowly moving from east to west here on the radar, and the bulk of this is going to end up north of I-85 here pretty soon. So if you live in Wake County, you live in Raleigh, the worst of this is really over. We're going to see the rain continue to taper off. Durham, you still got a little ways to go, as well as Chapel Hill, but not very impactful now that the main evening commute is over. 79, the high tomorrow, still on the cool side, running more than 10 degrees below normal. We've got a 40% chance for rain, and it stays overcast. Saturday, we could finally see some breaks in the clouds. The rain should mainly be east of I-95, 83 the high. By Sunday, that's when you may be able to hit up your pool, go back outside and do summer activities. 88 Sunday, but 90s are on the horizon for next week. And Sunday, still some lingering clouds in the area. It's not necessarily full sunshine just yet. Here's the setup that we've seen this week. At the surface, we've had this cool northeast wind, a lot of moisture. And then on top of that, you've got more moisture, but a lot warmer air. And that's just set up this deck of clouds that we cannot get rid of around here. This is a cold air damming pattern, and cold air damming is more typical in winter or spring for us. A couple of areas we're watching in the tropics. This one is the one we've been telling you about throughout the week that's close to our coast. The good news is that one developed farther east than it initially looked like earlier this week, so that stays away from us, not looking like a threat. Same with this region that we've been watching with that wave moving off the coast of Africa. But let's go out farther in advance, just giving you kind of an early heads up of what we could be watching. So this is Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. Here's that area with a 60% chance of developing. It recurves around high pressure and likely stays out to sea. We're talking next Wednesday now for the time frame. There's a new wave moving off the coast of Africa next Wednesday, and that area could be closer to the Caribbean by the time we get to next weekend. So we've got a long time to track it, but we're seeing pretty consistent model runs and ensembles that are showing some development with that next wave moving off the coast of Africa. Over the next 7 days, though, a lot more August weather on the horizon, upper 80s, 90s by next Tuesday, and even mid-90s on the horizon by Thursday. Those storm chances starting Monday are going to be more of your typical afternoon and evening storms and not this drizzly mess that we've seen lately.
All right, has been. Thank you, Kat. If there's weather or breaking news in your area, or you have a tip that you want to share, report it. Go to WRAL.com/report it and send us your video, pictures, or information. Dix Park has its own artist, like a guy whose main job it is to create art for the park. How cool is that? And this is his next piece. Kind of looks like a hedge maze, but it's a bit more than that. And it's your one last thing after the break. But first, let's get you geared up for the weekend. It's looking like things are going to dry out. Some great news if you want to go out and about. One last thing for you. A little while back, we talked about how Dix Park hired its own artist in residence. So basically, this is someone who lives by the park and then creates art in the park. That is their job. Well, today, the artist unveiled their next installation. Preston Montague, the artist, calls this piece Memory is a Hearth. It's just drawings for now, just kind of like a fancy landscaping look there, but it's more than that. Montague is going to use plants found in Dix Park, mostly grass, to create these waist-high installations, kind of like a hedge maze. As the seasons change, though, so will that art, with new species taking root over the years. Birds and butterflies and other animals will live in the plants. People can then walk through there, walk through those passageways and take it all in. I mean, what a cool idea and a cool thing to do, to have an artist there just to think of really beautiful ways to make an already beautiful space even more unique. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. Our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 15 and 11 on WRAL.